Hello friends, welcome to our YouTube channel. I hope I am audible and visible, right? If you are able to hear me, just let me know in the comment box. हाँ जी, quickly tell me in the comment box whether I am audible or not. हाँ जी. Audible. Okay. So let's start the session for today. Today's session is a very interesting one, right? So आज पहली बात तो 1 April है. हमारा एक नया we can say new month start हो रहा है. Those who haven't been regular with the newspapers, get regular with newspapers. It's gonna help you in the longer run in preparation for UPSC and for other exam as well. And second important thing, those who are appearing for this year prelims, don't forget this particular aspect कि अब हमारे लिए newspaper important नहीं है. Your newspaper is important till the month of May because we can see questions that can come directly from the month of May as well from the newspaper. So as a result, you need to be aware of all the developments that are happening, and I think you can take out your precious time of 1 hour for the Hindu newspaper analysis and your coverage. I hope this point is clear to everybody and we shall start our analysis now. हम रोज एक वर्ड देखते हैं न्यूज़पेपर में जो कि बहुत ज्यादा, अब हम अगर बात करें, हम उससे बहुत ज्यादा व्हाट वी कैन से इज वी आर फ्रेंडली विद दैट टर्म, राइट? एंड दैट वर्ड इज डेमोक्रेसी. So I was thinking about it because regularly there has been a debate on this aspect of democracy, जहां पे बहुत सारी जो वेस्टर्न मीडिया है, वेस्टर्न एनजीओज हैं, दे हैव बीन लेबलिंग के इंडिया में डेमोक्रेसी काफी ज्यादा डाउनग्रेड हो चुकी है. Similarly, opposition parties have been taking a jibe at the ruling party as well by saying that democracy is in danger. So let's discuss some of the important context of what are the various features of a democracy. And I'm telling you this why, because what we have seen is that UPSC now not only asks questions on the part of the constitution, but it also asks questions on the part of political theory as well. तो पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी में से भी काफी क्वेश्चन बन जाते हैं, तो हमें एक डेमोक्रेसी टर्म को समझना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है, राइट? सो लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आर द वेरियस कॉनोटेशंस ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी दैट वी हैव, राइट? सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, अगर आपको कुछ पता है तो आप भी मेंशन कर सकते हैं कि हम किस कंट्री को बोलेंगे कि वो डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री है. सबसे पहले वी कैन कॉल इट अ कंट्री एज अ डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री इफ देयर इज यूनिवर्सल अडल्ट सफरेज. पहली बात, दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वोटिंग राइट्स की बात होनी चाहिए. देन यू नीड टू हैव फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. This is also very important. Then we talk about freedom of choice. This is very important. And then another feature we can talk about is you need to have free and fair election. This is also very important. And when we talk about free and fair election, this whole process, there needs to be have a choice among the voters, not only of just one political party, but more than one political party, right? So I can write it over here that there needs to be a choice that they shall have more than one political party. If these are certain features that are there in a country, we can say that it has certain aspects of a democratic country, where the people have the voting rights, where people have the freedom of speech and expression, where the people have the freedom of choice, where the whole process is under the context of free and fair elections, and where we have more than one political party. Now let's say कोई कंट्री है जिसमें इलेक्शंस हो रहे हैं, बट उसके अंदर जो ऑप्शंस हैं वोटर्स के पास वो सिर्फ एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से ही चूज करने को है, तो हम कह सकते हैं कि लिटरली ऑन द पेपर हम कह सकते हैं कि हाँ ये डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री है, बट रियलिटी में वो डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री नहीं है. जैसे कि हम चाइना की बात कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि हम रशिया की बात कर सकते हैं, जहां पे ज्यादातर वन पार्टी रूल चल रहा है. सो एनी कंट्री दैट इज फॉलोइंग द ट्रेंड ऑफ वन नेशन वन पार्टी, that cannot be ascribed to the features of a democratic country. There needs to be a more than one party, there needs to be a freedom of speech and expression, there needs to be having certain voting rights that is in the form of universal adult suffrage. अगर हम आज के टाइम पे वोटर हैं, हमारे पास पावर होनी चाहिए कि हम किसको चूज करना चाहते हैं, नॉट ओनली जस्ट फ्रॉम वन पॉलिटिकल पार्टी बट वी शैल हैव चॉइसेस फ्रॉम अमंग वेरियस पॉलिटिकल parties. If this is the scenario, then we can call it as country as a democratic country. So these are certain aspects. You can add more features to it, but these are the most important features of what we call it as a democratic country. Democratic country जो हमने बचपन से पढ़ते आए हैं, that is a country or a government that is run by the people, where people have the choice to choose their representatives who in turn will be running the government. And in most of the countries around the world, the kind of democracy that we are having, we call it as an indirect democracy. Where in an indirect democracy, आप सभी को पता ही होगा कि क्या होता है इसके अंदर, where the people choose their representatives and these are the representatives what we call it as MLAs or MPs, members of parliament, that have been given the task of running the government. I hope this point is clear to everybody because this is very very important. These are the features of indirect democracy. But जहां पे हम direct democracy की बात करते हैं तो वहां पे थोड़े से और फीचर्स इंपॉर्टेंट ऐड हो जाते हैं इस पूरे कॉन्टेक्स्ट के अंदर, जहां पे रेफरेंडम की बातचीत हो जाती है, प्लेबिसाइट की बातचीत हो जाती है, रिकॉल जैसे ऑप्शंस आ जाते हैं जब हम डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी की बात करते हैं. बट देयर आर वेरी फ्यू कंट्रीज दैट हैव सर्टेन फीचर्स ऑफ दीज डेमोक्रेटिक प्रिंसिपल्स. ज्यादातर जो कंट्रीज हैं जो फॉलो करती हैं पाथ, दैट इज दिस पाथ ऑफ indirect democracy. That is why citizens are very much important because this is their right. These are the people who will decide who is going to rule them for a period of 5 years. That is in context of India. So that is why we need to understand this whole concept because this is very much important from our examination point of view. You can get direct questions in the form of prelims as well as in the mains as well. So you need to be aware of all these things. Right guys? Chali. Now I'm directly going to go to the editorial page because right now the things that have been coming all in these newspaper is going to be related to elections. I think everybody can understand this part because elections are nearby. So every day you need to be let's say हम रोज देखेंगे कोई ना कोई रैली चल रही है जहां पे कहीं ना कहीं कुछ रिमार्क्स दिए जा रहे हैं जिसकी वजह से ज्यादातर जो हमारी न्यूज रहेंगी फोकस रहेंगी न्यूज़पेपर में, इट्स गोइंग टू बी अ लिटिल बिट ऑन द पॉलिटिकल साइड. बट व्हाट वी गोना डू इज वी गोना एक्सट्रैक्ट सर्टेन इंपॉर्टेंट concepts from that political news and use it to our newspaper or we use it to our advantage for UPSC. Right now दिस इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग आर्टिकल क्योंकि आज अप्रैल 1 है तो हम अप्रैल फूल्स डे के नाम से जानते हैं, बट दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट मार्क्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डे इन हिस्ट्री ऑफ रिस्पॉन्स टू HIV एड्स एपिडेमिक इन इंडिया. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. हमने HIV एड्स को लेके बड़ा हिस्टोरिकल रिस्पॉन्स दिया था 1 April 2004 को. सो दैट इज व्हाई दिस डे इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दिस HIV एड्स. नाउ इसके अंदर जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, जैसे कि आप देख सकते हो इसका ये आज का हेडलाइन भी है, दैट इज ART. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दैट इज एंटी रेट्रोवायरल थेरेपी. नाउ दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कंटेक्स्ट. इसी के अराउंड ये सारा डिबेट आज का न्यूज़पेपर का एडिटोरियल का बेस्ड है, तो हम इसको डिटेल में डिस्कस करते हैं सो दैट यू गाइज हैव अ क्लियर आइडिया ऑन दिस होल टॉपिक. नाउ व्हेन आई टॉक अबाउट this ART and this is in context of HIV AIDS. Now what the article is trying to say is 1st April 2004 is very important in history of India's response towards HIV epidemic. Right? ये चीज बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है जो हमें समझनी है. इस दिन कुछ बड़ा खास हुआ था अगर हम बात करते हैं 1st April 2004 को. Trust me, this article is very important from our prelims point of view, right? So try to pay attention to this. Now, ये जो therapy है anti retroviral therapy, I will write down the full name as well. Anti retroviral therapy. अब ये थेरेपी है जो स्टार्ट करी गई थी इन लेट 1980s. ये थेरेपी कब आई थी? लेट 1980s. पहले तो ऐसा माना जाता था, लेट्स देयर वाज अ पर्टिकुलर assumption, if any people or a person has contacted HIV then he will be dying, let's say he will not be able to recover from that. But there was a various breakthrough that we saw in the case of HIV, that we can fight the cases of HIV with the help of this antiretroviral therapy. So it was a combination of drugs that were given to the people, what we can also call it as a cocktail therapy. इसको एक तरह से कॉकटेल थेरेपी भी बोला जाता था, राइट? सो दिस थेरेपी was, let's say, इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन लेट 1980s, नॉट इन इंडिया बट वी कैन से, बिकॉज इसका जो मेन जो थेरेपी आई थी ये यूएसए में आई थी. And as a result, there were certain problems, let's say before 2004, related to this antiretroviral therapy, which is also known as cocktail therapy, in context of, what were the problems in context of? Its high cost, second, affordability, and geographic limitation or geographical लिमिटेशनल एक्सेस. राइट, इसका एक्सेस बड़ा लिमिटेड था अगर हम ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्रीज को चेक करते हैं अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. सेकंड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इज, क्योंकि इतनी ज्यादा कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा थी तो इसकी अफोर्डेबिलिटी बहुत कम थी. नाउ व्हेन वी सी के एक हमारे पास थेरेपी है जो पूरी दुनिया में इंट्रोड्यूस्ड है 2004 से पहले, बट उसके अंदर कुछ लिमिटेशंस हैं जिसकी वजह से जो एचआईवी के रिलेटेड केसेस हैं उसके रिलेटेड बहुत सारी मोर्टेलिटीज देखने को मिल रही हैं, बहुत सारे इंसिडेंट्स देखने को मिल रहे हैं, और उसके रिलेटेड लोगों में ट्रांसमिशन भी बढ़ती जा रही है जब हम एचआईवी एड्स की बात कर रहे हैं. सो द केसेस इन इंडिया वर इंक्रीजिंग, प्लस देयर वाज मोर प्रेवलेंस ऑफ एचआईवी एड केसेस. सो एज अ रिजल्ट व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट डिड, कंसीडरिंग दीज कंस्ट्रेंट्स इन एंटी रेट्रोवायरल थेरेपी अवेलेबिलिटी, they introduced free antiretroviral therapy from 1st April 2004. This is very important. हमने ये पूरा प्रोसीजर ही क्या कर दिया, इसको फ्री कर दिया 1 अप्रैल 2004 से. So as a result, this is why this day is very much important in context of Indian history in fight of India against the HIV/AIDS virus. This is the part that they have been trying to explain. क्योंकि इसमें कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ ड्रग्स यूज किए जाते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपेंसिव थे और हमारे इंडिया में केसेस बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ते जा रहे थे, जिसकी वजह से हमने सोचा कि हमें कुछ अचीव करना पड़ेगा. तो हमें एक लैंडमार्क डिसीजन लिया जहां पे हमने बोला 1 अप्रैल को कि हम इसके रिलेटेड क्या करेंगे, वी विल ट्राई टू प्रोवाइड द फ्री एंटी रेट्रोवायरल थेरेपी. एंड दिस होल प्रोसेस स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम 2006. And when we see the results after 2006, the number of cases have gone down, the prevalence has also gone down, and there are various measures that have been started in India related to controlling what? Related to control of HIV/AIDS. अभी अगर हम बात करें इस टाइम पे, तो हम अपने फेज 5 प्रोग्राम की तरफ चल रहे हैं. This is our phase 5 program that we are running on if we talk about national एड्स कंट्रोल प्रोग्राम, जहां पे हमने कुछ पर्टिकुलर पैरामीटर्स रखे हैं, जैसे कि इन द फॉर्म ऑफ 95 95 95. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. 95% लोगों को अपना एचआईवी स्टेटस पता होना चाहिए, वेदर दे आर पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव. 95% पीपल विद एचआईवी पॉजिटिव shall be given antiretroviral therapy. Very important. And 95% people who have been given this antiretroviral therapy, there shall be suppression of HIV virus. This is this 95-95 rules that has been aligned with context of WHO by India, which has to be achieved overall by 2025. So this is the part that we have to understand. It is one of the most important part that we need to repeat, right? So very very important. Try to listen it once again. I will try to repeat it. HIV के लिए एंटी रेट्रोवायरल थेरेपी आती है, यूएसए में अवेलेबल है, इंडिया में भी अवेलेबल है, बट इट हैज इट्स हाई कॉस्ट. अफोर्डेबिलिटी बहुत ज्यादा है, जिसकी वजह से केसेस बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ते जा रहे हैं. इन ऑर्डर टू कंट्रोल दिस एचआईवी वायरस, ऑन 1 अप्रैल 2004 it was announced that we will provide this free antiretroviral therapy. Now against this background, what we have seen is the number of cases have come down, various programs, various another measures have been started in order to control the HIV virus. I am not saying कि सिर्फ इसी एक particular antiretroviral therapy की वजह से, not only because of this we have been able to control this. Yes, there have been other factors as well, but this has played one of the most important aspect, that is this free antiretroviral therapy. And now we have certain goals, now we have certain policies, now we have certain measures where we are saying that by 2025 we need to achieve this 95 95 95 goal. What is this 95 95 95 goal? 95% people shall know their HIV status. The people who have been HIV positive shall be given 95% this free ART therapy, and 95% people who has been given this ART therapy shall be, let's say, having suppressed this HIV virus. So this is one of the most important article that we have in today's newspaper. It talks about the efficiency of this antiretroviral therapy and the programs and the measures that have been taken by the government of India in order to control this HIV virus. हाँ जी, यहां तक कोई डाउट हो तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हो. हाँ जी. ओके, नाउ मूविंग टू नेक्स्ट पार्ट, दैट इज अनदर न्यूज. मैं एक बार इसको आपको इंपॉर्टेंट कंटेक्स्ट भी दिखा देता हूं जो बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, जैसे कि आप देख सकते हो, however the fight against HIV is far from over. The ongoing fifth phase of India's National AIDS Control Program aims to reduce, ये भी एक पार्ट है, where we want to reduce new HIV infections by 80% and reduce AIDS related mortalities by 80%. Now to achieve these, National AIDS Control Program Phase 5 calls for the attainment of ambitious targets of 95, 95, 95 by 2025, where 95% people living with HIV know their HIV status, 95% of people diagnosed with HIV infection receive sustained antiretroviral therapy, and 95% of all people who have received this therapy achieve viral suppression by 2025. These targets are aligned with global targets agreed by UN AIDS. So this is one of the most important part that we have to understand. Okay. Now, moving to the next part, the next article, it is related to, as you can see over here, compounding crisis. Now this is related to water deficit crisis, and it has been in news for such a greater length of time. Now let's try to decode this so that we are able to understand this article in a greater detail. Now here the question is related to water crisis. Now, one of the part that we have to understand is that the developments that have happened over the certain time period has led to a situation where we are facing a water deficit right now. We do not have enough water that can fill the reservoir of South India. We do not have enough water. That is the point that we have to understand. Now, there are certain reasons that you can attribute कि भाई इसका क्या कारण है. एक बहुत बड़ा कारण है अगर हम बात करें, that is climate change, right? So we can say one of the most important reason is climate change because it has created extreme situations, right? We can say 2023 has been recorded as the warmest year अगर हम बात करते हैं, and by the new weather forecasting that has been coming, it might be there that by 24, 25, 26 they will break the record of 2023. Plus another aspect that we have to understand is that this is the time period of El Nino where we will be receiving lesser of rainfall, so this adds to our कंपाउंड आर ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग प्रॉब्लम. तो ये भी एक सिनारियो है हमारे सामने. एक तो हमारे सामने एल नीनो की सिचुएशन है, दूसरा हमारी जो कॉन्टिनेंट है, यहां हम अगर बात करें अर्थ है, इट इज वार्मिंग एट एन अलार्मिंग रेट. Third important thing you have to understand in this whole context is that climate change is there, yes, but there have been certain natural factor as well that has compounded this problem. Very important. Now we have seen because of rapid urbanization, rapid industrialization, there has been encroachment of the land area, encroachment of the water bodies that has resulted to water shortage. And we can take a classic example of case study what has happened in Bengaluru, where there has been the encroachment of the lakes that has resulted in the water shortage in Bengaluru, and that is why the city of Bengaluru right now is under a lot of water stress because of the rapid urbanization and rapid industrialization. So these are the two aspects that you can add into the situation of Bengaluru and overall water deficit and water crisis. So I can say another factors that are like नेचुरल फैक्टर्स भी हो सकते हैं और उसके साथ क्या हो सकते हैं, मैन मेड फैक्टर्स भी हो सकते हैं, जिसको हम लिख सकते हैं लाइक अर्बनाइजेशन एंड इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन. Urbanization and industrialization that leads to encroachment of water bodies that create shortage of water, and you can cite the classic example of Bengaluru in this whole situation. So we know that there are certain reasons we can find out. हमने यहां पे सारे reasons लिख लिए भाई क्या क्या reason है जिसकी वजह से water crisis है. इसके साथ आप बहुत सारी चीजें लिख सकते हो like unsustainable agriculture, we are not following climate smart agriculture, right? That is why we are depleting the underground water table as well, underground water level as well. So these are what? These are the certain man-made factors you can say that is compounding the problem of water deficit. And one thing you have to understand in this whole context apart from this is कि ये problem ज्यादातर बढ़ती ही जाएगी किन countries के लिए? This problem will keep on increasing for the developing countries and the लो इनकम कंट्रीज. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. जो लीस्ट डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज हैं या जो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज हैं उनके लिए ये प्रॉब्लम बढ़ती ही जाएगी बिकॉज दे डू नॉट हैव द रिसोर्सेज, दे डू नॉट हैव द फाइनेंस, दे डू नॉट हैव द टेक्नोलॉजी, दे डू नॉट हैव द कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग to fight the climate change. This is the debate that we have seen in various climate conferences where the developing countries and the least developed countries have been asking for finance from the developed countries, have been asking for the technology from the developed countries, have been asking for the capacity building measures that shall be transferred to the developing countries. Why? Because they are the ones who are at the forefront of the disaster that might be coming from these climate change, because climate change is considered to be one of the major reason why we are facing the water crisis this particular in over इंडिया की बात करें या ओवरऑल वर्ल्ड की भी बात करें. अगर आप ईस्ट अफ्रीका को देखेंगे तो क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से देखेंगे क्या सिचुएशंस आई हैं, लाइक द सिचुएशन ऑफ ड्रॉट्स दैट हैव रेज द प्रॉब्लम टू सच अ लेवल कि वहां पे बहुत सारे फेमाइन्स देखने को मिल रहे हैं अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं. सो एज अ रिजल्ट this huge destruction that is being coming in these areas of East Africa is basically because of this problem of climate change. और ज्यादा इफेक्ट किसको पड़ता है? डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज को पड़ता है, and it is to the least developed countries because they do not have the potency, they do not have the capacity, because they have to focus on another things. They cannot be solely focusing on building measures against climate change when their population is already deprived, where they have to give PDS, they have to provide free food grains, they have to provide electricity, right? So these are certain things that are their primary priorities rather than focusing on these priorities which are right now becoming the most important thing which shall be focused upon. But इतना focus नहीं किया जाता है. क्यों? उसके लिए इतना पैसा नहीं है. That is why developing countries or least developed countries को yes they need finance from the developed countries, but in addition to that they shall also think upon that in the upcoming times they would have to build and raise their capacity. They would have to augment their, let's say, overall capacity of the country if they are seriously looking forward कि हमें किस तरीके से आने वाले टाइम में वाटर क्राइसिस की सिचुएशन को सॉल्व करना है. इट शैल बी dealt at the local level, it shall be dealt at the national level, it shall be dealt at the international level if we are seriously looking कि हमें वाटर क्राइसिस को कैसे रोकना है और इसको अवॉइड करना है. I hope this context is clear to everybody and you are able to understand this whole article that is related to water crisis, right? So I have given you a detailed information related to this. If any question is related to water crisis that might get asked, ठीक है, तो आप एक काम करना, मेंस के अंदर तो आप ये पॉइंट सारे लिख सकते हो और एक जरूर चीज पढ़ लेना जो प्रीलिम्स में बड़ा काम आएगा. अभी रिसेंटली यूएन वाटर कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई है, तो वो कहां पे हुई है, उसकी रिपोर्ट्स और उसके हाइलाइट्स बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो ये प्रीलिम्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. यूएन वाटर कॉन्फ्रेंस आई थिंक ये रिसेंटली हुई है 2022 और 2023 में. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू रीड इनफ ऑफ दिस बिकॉज दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, now next article that we're going to discuss is related to Tamil Nadu accounts for 30% of India's electronic exports. Now this is the data that has been provided in the form of charts and graphs, but very important data because this is a direct prelims question, right? अब ध्यान से देखना यहाँ पे. Now these are 4 charts that have been made over here. Let us discuss charts one by one. This is the first chart, that is this bar graph chart that talks about year wise electronic goods which have been exported from Tamil Nadu. 2018 में $0.1 billion, 19 में $0.3 billion, 20 में $0.2 billion, 21 में $1.7 billion, 2022 में $1.9 billion, 2023 में $5.4 billion और 24 में सिर्फ जनवरी के मंथ तक it has been $7.4 billion. So you can see one thing, in terms of electronic goods का जो एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा है वो तमिलनाडु में धीरे धीरे बढ़ता जा रहा है. एंड यू कैन कंपेयर इट विद 2018 एज कंपेयर इट विद 2024. नाउ सेकंड चार्ट इज रिलेटेड टू वेरियस स्टेट्स का कितना कंट्रीब्यूशन रहा है अगर हम बात करते हैं बिलियन डॉलर्स के अंदर, ईयर वाइज बता रखा है। पहले आप ध्यान से देखेंगे तमिलनाडु का बहुत कम था, रेड वाला तमिलनाडु है और ये डार्क ब्लू यूपी है और उसके नीचे कर्नाटक है। तो तीन मेजर को हम कंसीडर करेंगे यहां पे। द फर्स्ट वन इज ऑफ तमिलनाडु, रेड वन, and the dark blue is from UP and the little lightish blue is from Karnataka. As you can see from 2018 their contribution, if we talk about Tamil Nadu in context of UP, बहुत ज्यादा कम था। बट अगर आज के टाइम पे 2024 की बात करें तो तमिलनाडु का ज्यादा है combined as compared to Karnataka and UP in context of electronic goods. So that means that after, as you can see 2022 के बाद, I can highlight it over here for you, that after 2022 there has been a sharp uptick. So I can say before 2022 UP and Karnataka were leading the charts in export of electronic goods, very important. But after financial year 2022 the Tamil Nadu has taken a giant leap, as it can be seen from its contribution towards electronic goods. Second important thing you have to understand is जो ज्यादातर जितना भी ये इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स में बात कर रहा हूं, जो ये ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा है, 40% जो हो रहा है वो स्मार्टफोन्स का हो रहा है। जो इंडिया में स्मार्टफोन बन रहे हैं और उसमें भी एक पर्टिकुलर डिस्ट्रिक्ट है जिसका नाम है कांचीपुरम। The name of the district is Kanchipuram, that is leading the chart, that is contributing to 40% of smartphones जो जा रहे हैं। तो ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है, आप इसको मिस नहीं कर सकते हो। ओवरऑल अगर हम चार्ट 3 की बात करते हैं तो कमोडिटी वाइज शेयर की बात करी है फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2024 के लिए टिल फरवरी, 2 महीने का डेटा दिया है। सबसे ज्यादा इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स हुए हैं $98 बिलियन, आफ्टर दैट इट हैज बीन पेट्रोलियम, after then it has been gems and jewelry, after it has been electronic goods. So this has been the trend right now if I talk about the commodity wise share in India's exports. And if I look at the top 10 importers of electronics, जो इंडिया से सबसे ज्यादा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स का इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, द टॉप में जो है दैट इज यूएसए, विच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और सेकेंड नंबर पे है यूएई। सो दीज आर द फिगर्स विच आर वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट। इससे आपको एक चीज पता चल रही है, इंडिया के अंदर 2022 से पहले इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स की बात करें यूपी और कर्नाटका लीड कर रहे थे, बट आफ्टर 2022 वी हैव सीन दैट तमिलनाडु हैज टेकन द लीप एंड इट इज एक्सपोर्टिंग मोर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स। ओवरऑल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स का जो शेयर है कमोडिटी वाइज कम है एज कंपेयर टू इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स, बट जब हम इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स की बात करते हैं सबसे ज्यादा जो इंपोर्ट कर रहा है दैट हैज बीन यूएसए, विच हैज बीन इंपोर्टिंग अ लॉट। I hope this point is clear to everybody and this chart is clear to everybody because it is one of the most important aspect in today's newspaper and I'm directly saying that this could be the question that can directly come in the examination. हाँ जी, any doubt anyone has related to this? हाँ जी guys. Okay, चलिए moving to the next part. ओके, सो दिस इज द जस्ट रिलेटेड टू केजरीवाल अरेस्ट, राइट। हम इसके ऊपर ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे एंड दीज आर ऑल द स्पोर्ट्स पेज न्यूज एज यू कैन सी, ठीक है। ये इजरायलीज टेक आउट देयर लार्जेस्ट प्रोटेस्ट इन स्टेट ऑफ वॉर, रशिया कीप अप अटैक ऑन कीव्स एनर्जी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, रशिया अरेस्ट 3 in anti-terrorist operation. So these are all the world page news that are going on, but not that much important from our examination point of view. And we are done with the today's analysis. I hope you were able to understand today's newspaper. Today's newspaper was very much important. There were 4 major articles that were a part of today's newspaper. One was related to this water crisis that we have tried to discuss this in much detail. Second one was related to this ART therapy that was made free from 1st April 2004, and it is one of the most landmark decisions that has been taken in the Indian context when we talk about our health infrastructure and fight against HIV virus. And when we talk about, we have a lot of new programs that have been going on and there is an ambitious target that we have set up for ourselves in context of ART, that is 95:95:95. Then we discuss some of the important pillars of democracy, that what are the features of democracy, that what are the various types of democracy that we have, and when we discussed about in context of India, we talked about indirect democracy, and these are the certain features that we discussed about democracy, like we discussed about universal adult suffrage, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of choice, free and fair election, and there needs to be more than one political party when we talk about free and fair election, because you cannot have just one political party and you can say that election has been fair, because then you wouldn't have given the people the choice. If you wouldn't have given the people of choice, then how you can say people have freedom of choice? If people do not have a freedom of choice, then how you can say that it is a part of democracy? So these are certain points that you have to understand, because what we have seen in UPSC, that a lot of questions are coming from prelims in the context of political theory, which is very much important. I hope this point is clear to everybody, and these were the main important news for today's newspaper. You have any doubt related to today's newspaper, you can ask me, and then I will end the session for today. फकीरेश डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन बनाया जाता था कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज के लिए, ठीक है, वो उसका मेन काम, एक्ट आए हैं 3 बार आए हैं, बट 2026 में हमने पॉपुलेशन ही फ्रीज कर दी थी जो यूज करी जाएगी हमारे लोकसभा सीट्स के लिए. अब देखते हैं, अब नया डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन आएगा जिससे कि पता चलेगा कि क्या फिर से रीड्रॉ होंगी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज और उसके अकॉर्डिंगली ओवरऑल डेटा आएगा. फिर आप देखोगे लोकसभा की स्ट्रेंथ भी बढ़ेगी. हाँ जी, एनी अदर डाउट एनीवन हैज? इनका एक बार डाउट क्लियर कर देते हैं. ये कब से बोल रहे हैं? शिवराज सिंह जी, यार कोमल मैडम सिर्फ 3 दिन के लिए आए थे. She was a replacement for 3 days because I was not in town, right? Might be you have joined then. ठीक है, कोमल मैम will not be taking the classes. I would be taking the classes for you. Okay. Any other doubt anyone has? चलिए guys, thank you so much. Take care, and we will see each other tomorrow same time 9 a.m. Till then, take care. Bye bye.